Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa. Every second Tuesday and every second Friday, we have so much fun because we get to interview travel representatives from their destinations, travel experts, travel writers, photographers, anyone who has anything to do with the world of travel, food, and wine. And these are two special shows, all connected with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We call it IFWTWA. It's far easier to say. And you can go to the website, IFWTWA.org. But again, it's every second Tuesday, every second Friday. Now, Tuesdays, we normally talk with different representatives from different regions, like Memphis, maybe it's Medford, Oregon. It could be anywhere across the country or around the world. But today's show is dedicated to women because it happens to air on March 8th, which is International Women's Day. So we thought, we got to look at women in travel, tourism, travel writing. Think about it. Who do you think was the first woman travel writer? You know, we have all these travel writers through history. I think about Cabeza de Vaca, who was an explorer that landed in Galveston, Texas. And this is such a crazy story about his shipmates and how they went through the desert. A lot of them died. It was actually really terrible. I think over 200 of them died. But he documented all of this insane story, and he got known as Texas's very first travel writer. Now you're thinking way back when. So what about women getting that accolade and recognition? Well, we've got some awesome women joining us on the show today, all members of IFWTWA. And we're going to start with the diva Linda-Kissam, the food wine shopping diva. She is a regular here on Big Blend Radio and is in Big Blend magazines for I don't know how many years. We can't keep up. But you can follow her at allingoodtaste.info. So Diva Linda, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. It's sunny in Phoenix.
That is awesome. Cool. I know. And everybody,
but it's warmer than here.
We are recording this in the heart of winter. This is airing at the beginning of spring, so everyone's probably going to be feeling good unless you get those weird spring. You never know what happens in spring. But Linda Kissam is also the past president of IFWTWA. And how long were you the president? I mean, you're like the British queen.
Pretty much. I don't know. I stopped counting at 8. I'm not really sure. I just, kept going. Yeah, I would have kept going a lot more, but I thought it was time for somebody else to give it a shot. But I enjoyed my time doing that a lot, and I would do it again. So it was a great job.
And Chris Cutler is the president now and doing an awesome job too, and also works on getting the conference, the FWT magazine, Food Wine Travel magazine that goes out through IFWTWA. So again, everyone, IFWTWA.org. But you think about this association, honestly, I think we're interviewing, we do these shows, twice a month. And when we get into the tourism departments, Linda, a lot of times we'll get men and women, but I'm going to say we've had a few men on this show, but it seems that because we're talking women in travel and tourism, that we have more women out there being travel writers and even traveling solo. Have you seen that over your time?
Well, yeah, probably over the last maybe 15 years. The issue is, I think that I used to be able to get a paying job that would actually pay you enough to live and support your family and so forth, and you could be on the rolls of a newspaper or in a lovely magazine or whatever. And then all of a sudden, when the crash came, that wasn't so much. They didn't have writers on staff. They went to freelance writers. And you have to work an awful lot, much harder if you're freelance rather than on staff. And it's one of those things where you constantly have to have things in the pipeline so that you have something to eat and money down down the next month and so forth. So I think many of the men dropped out, and they come back in later when they find a good steady income and can do it sort of part-time, but often the women have a second support system or a great divorce settlement or whatever, and they can and
Go
they
girls.
I'm sorry, inheritance, whatever. But that's my take on it. So yeah, for right now. So and I really don't see the magazines or the newspapers doing a lot of staff people, especially in travel, as you probably saw, especially after the crash and so forth. I mean, it seems so long ago, but it still has a great influence on what we do now. The travel section went away. The lifestyle section went away. You know,
The sports stays there, apparently. Sports stays
there. But
that's where the men are.
Yeah, lifestyle, travel, all that sort of stuff. You know, was lost, especially in the newspapers, of course. So I don't know. We'll see. You know, life changes all the time, and that was a huge change. The reason I see this and see it so clearly is because I used to be the director of a wine region in California. And so I was the person at that time that used to bring in writers, host them, choose them, select them, mentor them, baby them, run around with them for 2 days, and so forth and so on. And big difference after the crash, because they used to come in on a stipend, and so their airfare would be paid, their whatever, and then they'd get a nice little bonus. But this was all because they were on staff. And boy, right after that crashed, that stopped right away. They were having to pay their own airfare, and that's the host destination could do that for them. And as a host, we were much more careful about who we paid for. You know, if a magazine or a newspaper wanted to send somebody out from, I don't know, Poughkeepsie, fine with me, you know, come on down. I'd like to have my wine region noticed. But it was just, but when it was time to decide who I would actually spend my budget on, I had to be a bit more careful about numbers, you know, circulation numbers, how they wrote, what their attitude was going to be. I can tell you some great stories about hosting people. If you ever want, we could do a whole show on that.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Oh,
That
sure.
sounds like
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but
Whole
I
show.
think what's interesting, you talk about the crash, and I want to introduce everyone on, but the crash hit, and it did affect everything. And it's kind of like what we're doing now during COVID times. Everyone's getting these second jobs, third new things, or it's change. But it really, tourism, the big first whack was September 11th. That was, and then it's like, then the crash happened. It was just this nonstop. And we also started having disasters. Nancy and I at the magazine, we started in we're 25 years this year. And we went through the 9/11, also going in from print to online. That also was this huge factor. And then there were all these disasters. We went through wildfires that were crippling to our region. And it was just like one thing after the other. And it's like, can you all give us a break? You know, and I think it changed. And so, and even now we're back into that new cycle, which honestly, it's devastating, but also creates opportunity. I really believe every time all these horrible things happen in life, there's always something that can come from that. And I think that's what we have now, is we have a whole new generation of bloggers, and people say, oh, blogs are going away. No, they're not. People want personal stories. And they said, Nancy, right in the beginning, don't tell the personal story of travel. Don't be opinionated. Look, you've got the diva here.
Come on. You know, and the people who are giving that advice, you know, sometimes it's really funny when you look them up and you find out that you know more than they do. You've been around longer, you've done more, you know, and so somebody writes what you call the opinion piece, and it's really, you know, how much is that worth? So if you're going to read an opinion, I say look the person up before you take it to heart.
That's why it's important to get who you are. And I think blogs give people that beauty of connecting with them, and social media gives that beauty. And so let's bring some of our next guests on who are all sitting here. So let's go to Dallas. Okay, so Dallas, Texas. We're in Arizona with Diva Linda. We're going to go northeast a little bit to Dallas, and Sharon Kurtz. Sharon was on our show. What, almost a year ago, talking about her trip to
About.
Egypt.
Mm.
Yes.
Almost. We're not
Mhm.
quite there yet, but welcome, and we can see you this time. This is great.
Yeah.
You went to Egypt during COVID because why not? You could. Not only are you a freelance writer, but you are also a tour company guide. So you take people on small group tours. Everyone, it's SharonHKurtz.com, and that's KURTZ, SharonHKurtz.com. Did I get that right? Make sure everyone's websites are out there.
Sharon-K-Kurtz.com.
Hey, Kurtz, not H. I can't read. I just write. I
Okay.
can't read. No, I'm just kidding. But welcome back. And how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing very well.
Good.
Looking forward to traveling in 2022. It's going to be changed and difficult more than before, but
That's interesting how you say that. And yeah, because it is getting up. It's back into up and down weird world again. It is. But
it is.
you are a freelance writer. Tell us a little bit about how you got into becoming a freelance writer and doing that.
I came to freelance writing as a second career. I had a career that I loved. I designed and manufactured a product that I sold to catalogs and retail stores, and it made me very happy until it didn't. You know, the crash came and business was tough. And I raised my two children and I thought, why am I spinning my wheels? I wanted a new life. So I decided to sell my business and I started traveling. And then I was already leading tours for women. So my travel career then led to people saying, I love your Facebook posts. Surely you should write for a wider audience than that. So I started going to training and travel writing seminars. And now I've written over 100 bylines and for 12 or so different publications.
Right on.
Wonderful.
Well done. Congratulations. And welcome back again. So now, okay, we are in Dallas and we're going to go up a little bit and then we're going to go down to Betsy in Florida. We're going to go up to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. Marie-Goff, welcome to the show. It's your first time. I know Betsy and Sharon and Linda have all been on here, but welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Doing good here at Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
like how could you not? But this is
Yeah, really.
exciting because your way in was really you retired from the military, right? You served our country, and thank you.
Thank you.
And the military, I know a lot of people that got into the military. I know park rangers who became park rangers so they could go from park to park and work in them and learn different skills. And I know a lot of friends in the military that the military gave them the travel bug because they traveled and then they couldn't get it out of their system. What was it for you?
It was partly that. I was in the military for almost 38 years. And so before that, though, I had gone to, while I was in college, small liberal arts college, Lander University, and a professor there took a handful of us to Europe. We went to school in France for a summer and visited other countries while we were there. And my parents had traveled too, up and down the East Coast, mainly the southern portion of it, and from the mountains to the ocean. And so it all started when I was a child, but then of course with the military, I traveled too. But when it was when I retired, I said, I'm on my own now. I can do what I want. And so I was inspired by our public affairs officer. I said, how can I travel and do this in a way that is help enhances learning and sharing and all of that. And I saw her, she knew just about everything that was going on there at the South Carolina National Guard. And I said, that's it. I can start writing and learn photography. And little did I know what a big learning curve both of those were going to be.
But I think you've got to have the tenacity of, having served in military, you're punctual, you're very punctual and detail oriented. I know just from the email communications, it's like, it's amazing. on that,
Mhm.
but there's got to be something, that really does connect, because there is the detail. There is, if you have to get up at 3 a.m, you'll get up at 3 a.m. There's
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
the duty
Double
oriented
do that.
focus, right? And I
Mhm.
think also what's amazing about your story too is that you were a woman in the military, which we're only now starting to hear more of over the last 10, 15 years about women who've served. That's been
Mhm.
we've got the waves, right? Nancy wanted to join the waves.
Yeah, I did.
She
Woo.
did.
Yeah.
She thought it was a surfing group, but it didn't
No,
happen.
my parents were like, no. And at that time, you had to be 25 or you
Mm.
had to have your parents okay. 25 for a woman,
Wow.
only 18, maybe 17, 18 for a guy, but for a woman, 25.
Mm.
And I'm like, dude, I ain't gonna be around here till I'm 25. I'm long gone. But I get
She
to go.
was. But yeah, for you to serve as a woman, what inspired you to
Yeah.
do that? Because when I think about now, we're seeing women that are kicking butt in the military.
Oh
Just
yeah.
athletically
Mhm.
out there. And we're getting
It's
the
incredible.
respect
Mm.
that's deserved.
Mhm.
But I think there's pioneers in that field of having to stand up and do almost more work in a way to
Oh
be
yeah. Yeah.
respected.
Mhm.
I think I came full circle, or the military, the Army came full circle during my career, because when I started, I learned later that had I joined earlier in the year, I would have joined the Women's Army Corps. But later it was transitioning women in the Army, and so I joined later in the year. But as I was retiring in 2015, the rules changed so that women were allowed into combat arms, and so I said that we've come full circle now,
Wow.
and that was wonderful.
Wow. So combat arms. So women weren't allowed to do that beforehand?
No, and that's the irony, because they were going to war all this time, and the battlefield had changed a long time ago. You're no longer there's no longer the front line is not that clear where it is, and so women were exposed to combat long before the right to go into the combat arms branches occurred.
Wow.
And but
Yeah,
now
you
they're
were-
there.
You're
So,
supposed to be a nurse.
Yeah, that's right.
yes.
Well, Clara
And-
Barton, she was on the front lines too as a nurse.
Yes, and I
come
mean,
on.
You're supposed to be a
nurses
nurse
they've been in harm's
Mhm.
way all along.
all the
Mhm.
time.
But this
all
is
the
why
time.
I say about women travel writers, if you look back in history, they were there, but they weren't allowed to have that title of what they were doing, but they've always
Mhm.
done it. They've been documenting things for many
Mhm.
years. I want to bring our next guest, Betsi Hill, on. Now, BetsiWorld.com. And every time I type it, I go, bestie, because she's she's my bestie. I see her smiling. She's my bestie. But everybody, Betsi World, and that's BETSI.com. And tell me I got it right.
You got it right.
Okay.
Okay.
And listen, I got to go. Marie, give everyone yours because you got a long one. What's your website?
Travel notes and storytelling.com. So
Travel notes.
travel notes and AND
Mhm.
storytelling.com.
Awesome.
Okay.
Everyone has beautiful websites, and as soon as you get on there, you want to go. You just want to go.
Mhm.
Betsy, it seems like I know the last time you were on the show, I think it was 2, 3. It was a while ago. It's you're
Over
past
3
due.
years.
Yeah, you were on
Wow.
talking about
Mm.
your boating adventures in the Caribbean, Bahamas, Florida. So this has been. So do you still focus on the boating adventures, or are you on land more now?
We're doing kind of everything. Of course, my favorite islands are the Bahamas, always have been, but
Mm.
travel is iffy. Especially there because the medical, if COVID hits, an island shuts down. And so we've really not been back since late 2018. And I'm jonesing. I've got my fingers crossed. We'll see. But the East Coast of Florida comes to a close second. And we spent a lot of time in the Keys.
Right
Mm.
on. I was looking at
Mhm.
flamingos the other day there, like not there, but on social media, I'm like, oh, I gotta see the flamingos there. We've seen them in
Mhm.
Lake Nakuru in Kenya. Now we have to see them, here. That would be so awesome. But we've seen them also in Madison, Wisconsin in the snow, but that's because they put them there. But everywhere we go, we find a flamingo in the
Yeah,
weirdest
pink
places.
flamingos.
Yeah, it just happens.
It's a
But
thing.
Betsy, for you, what was your transition into writing?
So I worked in hospitality doing accounting and finance for restaurants and small hospitality sort of businesses. And, my husband one day walked in and he said, honey, I just finished our taxes and you have become a tax liability. And my response was,
Well,
yay! So
wow.
Thanks a lot.
Well, and
Yeah.
exactly. I found myself at a crossroads, and the joke in my family is I came out of the womb writing with a pencil in my hand. And so for me, it was a natural transition. And Jim and I were still traveling on the boat and doing a whole lot more back then. And I started writing as a way to keep family and friends informed. And the rest kind of ended up as history. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
This is what's really interesting about women in travel writing is that's what I was saying about when you look at old way back with the women that were documenting things, they were documenting, and also they're the mother hen of the nest, and it is always about letting people know, and it would go further from that. You go in museums, there are journals, and these journals, I mean, even Fremont, who was part of the Great Manifest, the Manifest Destiny, his wife wrote his journals, so they say, and we know it's true because he was out there doing this stuff. He's
It's
like, I
about
can't
the
write this.
detail.
Yeah,
It's
and
about
the
the
women
detail.
knew how to do that, and so women know how to get their kids to listen most of the time. So I think that's why
What?
there's this connection. There's a maternal touch, not knocking men, I mean, at all. This is just the way it is with women, that I think that is part of it from in history. When we look back, there's that connection of being able to, hey, this is what's going on now. We're going to watch this, but hey, I'm going to be daring or whatever. When you look back in history, it is absolutely fascinating. So you guys have been doing this a lot, and let's talk about women in history and travel writing for each of you. Diva Linda, is there someone that you look up to as a writer or a woman in history that inspires you to go beyond? And I have to tell everybody, Diva Linda came on our show years ago. I mean, when we first started 15 years ago. And I remember you going, okay, you're writing about wine. And then one day it's like, no, I can do casinos. And then I'm like, well, you want to go hiking here? No. And then she went into an old mine with us one time in the mountains. Remember that, Diva Linda? And I'm like, I didn't know if you would do this because you have the right shoes. And then next thing you know,
Got
Diva's on a
sparklies.
camel in Jordan. This was one of the trips that were connected with IFWTWA, which was, I would say, probably one of those life-changing experiences. And I saw Diva in a hut. I saw Diva on a camel, and I went, Diva's like gone so far beyond wine tasting, which you still do very well, and taught us so much about travel with Diva Linda, and you will learn about wine and etiquette. But that didn't really stick. But the wine did. But it really just seeing your career and places you have been, the Czech Republic, cruising, going to Christmas markets in Europe. But then the latest one is, this big boating experience through the wild waters of Alaska for 3 months. I mean, seriously, like Diva Linda, like if you think 15 years ago where you are today, is that the kind of, because I know you've done nice cruises through Australia and all of that. You've done the Daintree Forest. I mean, I'm just thinking way back when to how your bio has kind of changed. I'm just saying the easy breezy stories have changed.
Well, when I first became a travel writer, I was I made the switch because I had a PR company, and the PR company was sending turnkey stories to magazines outlets, whatever, about wine regions, specifically the one in California. And then one day I thought, which is typical for me, about 7 years into something, I'll go, that's enough. I've done that. Don't want to do that anymore. So I thought, what's next? So the next step was just doing my own writing and stop hosting people. And I wanted to be hosted. And but I came out with an awful big, strong knowledge of wine, and that was the easiest to write about at that point, and what makes a good destination. But like anything, just like your travel in wine, your journey in wine, you start with the cheap stuff and you go all the way up to the expensive stuff, where you find yourself something in there that the same journey with chocolate. It's the same journey with
when you need the divorce and get that settlement.
That's right, or a nice retirement. Yes. And, absolutely. So anyway, things just present themselves. I just found that when I wrote specifically and only about wine, then readers would say, well, but where did you stay? Did they do wine pairings? What about wine pairings? And all that stuff I was doing, I just wasn't writing about it. So it's just building on, most people come in with a foundation of something, a like of something specific. And then as you do more and more and more, you get less specific, I think, and you get broader in what you can write about. And, who knew? I mean, just like you said, yesterday I spent my time looking at farms in Arizona. For God's sake, who knew Arizona?
Oh my
had farms?
gosh, I love this. Diva on a farm.
Diva on a farm. Once again, wrong shoes.
Got the big food from Alaska. But this is why we're the blend, right? And now we have to have
Yeah.
all these different magazines, but we're still a blend. Our Quality of Life magazine now has recipes. Go figure. Why not?
Yep.
Because I know it's this packaging marketing thing, and especially part of the crash also was the time of social media surgence. You got to think Twitter came on at that time. Facebook was going, but not like it is. You got to think about the publications. Advertising changed for everybody, where everybody started we're doing Google ads and we're doing Facebook ads. What happened to the newspapers? Now the newspapers have Google ads. So we've had this huge change of what people can do from like the time when we go back these, 15 years, Diva Linda, and it is pretty amazing. And if you don't say yes to new opportunities, you miss out. I think what you're saying there is so right. But okay, so women for you.
I think the one that impresses me the most currently is Kate McHugh. I don't know if any of you know her. She is the first American woman to captain a cruise ship. And she's currently on doing celebrity cruises. And she, I think that's where her first opportunity came. And currently they've given her the biggest, brightest, newest ship. And I love her little story. She just did a blog the other day about she's ready to go on the ship, and she's getting on and somebody doesn't recognize who she is. And so she thought she'd have a little fun. She said, well, I think they said, well, you're going on the ship. Are you a guest? And she said, no. And I work on it. They said, oh, you must be in the spa. No, not in the spa. Well, are you the social director? No, not the social director. And so forth and so on. I think she did get wine steward at one point, but finally she, let go and just said, no, I'm actually the captain. And, the person was amazed. Woman. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's really true.
Not as amazed as you would have been 10 years ago, but still pretty amazed.
Still, that's cool.
So for her, she just kept at it and added and honed her skills and did her tests and got her certificates and all that stuff and didn't give up. And there she is. And good for you, Kate. I salute you.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah. Cool.
I want to touch on Nancy real quick, because Nancy, your travel went from taking groups to Kenya when you had never set foot out of the country to leading tours to Kenya, going of school teachers going, well, it wasn't like this last year when everything went wrong.
To say by the company who hired me, I'm like, I haven't been there, but they hired me because I'm really good at finding animals in the bush.
Yes.
I can see them. I can smell them. I know where they are, or know where they're hiding. So I got hired to lead a tour of people who wanted to see wildlife in Kenya.
Yeah,
without
she did the
having
newsletters
been there
as well
I
for
did.
the airlines, and did
Mhm.
because she's an amazing wildlife artist, all the pen and ink sketches that went in
Oh,
these
thank you.
newsletters. So it started there, and
Mhm.
she was writing for newspaper and magazines. She went to Kenya and she tried to go to Jomo Kenyatta's funeral, which she did, and tried to take photos and got in trouble. Anyway, Nancy's got an interesting past.
That was
She
where
got in trouble.
some hands came over
Yeah.
my head and took
Said,
my
"Madam,
camera
you will
away
not do
just
that."
like that. I
But
was like, oopsie.
but I wanted to go. She worked with Joy Adamson, and a lot of people will remember the movie Elsa the Lion Born Free, and you worked for her. And I also, there's something people don't really know, she ghost wrote a lot of Joy Adamson's books while she was there,
Wow.
out in the bush. I mean, think about it, old school typewriter out in the bush. And
a
that's what
tent.
you're doing. But Joy Adamson was kind of crazy. So I wanted to say, Nancy, would you consider her, with her books and what she was doing, because she was an artist too, that she was a woman documenting and a travel writer in a way, going from the nature aspect and scientific writing. Would you consider her one of the first in that?
I would consider her
Shouldn't have asked this.
a more than brave woman, a very stubborn and completely crazy. Like, she really didn't know what she was doing, I have to say. And being in her tended camp was like, you never really knew what was going to happen. She had affairs with a whole lot of different people in her tent.
Okay. It's a happy.
You can just take her books, and there's not anything in there that I consider to really be all that true.
Oh, well, that's
the animal. No, it's true. The animals were, one of them came out of a zoo. I just, it was just so not what the film portrayed, nothing like it at all. However, I will say this, in some aspects, what she did was important, as far as putting the limelight on the ability to rehabilitate animals into the wild, and please leave them there and don't take them out in the first place. That, so from that aspect, Hollywood made a star out of somebody that, I'm sorry.
it was novel at the time. Her husband did a lot. Her husband, George,
actually,
did a
her
ton.
husband was a ranger, and a good one. And they were separated at the time, and he made way more sense than she did.
Yeah,
I have to say.
but
I'm
she
sorry,
did do it. But
it's the
in
truth.
regards to what she was doing, though, there's, like you're saying, that limelight. And so I think there's something where the whole organization Born Free, because of Virginia McKenna, the actor, they've been on our shows years and years. And it's just, there's just different ways of writing and doing things. And whether or not you like it or it's right or wrong, it's still, like you said, shone a light. And so conservation happens because of it. And also, how many women, we had Karen Blixen out of Africa. We lived on her farm.
We lived on her farm.
And in the servants' quarters, which were houses at that point, real estate wise. But now it's very hoity-toity.
I know, isn't it?
Look up the neighborhood of Karen in outside Nairobi, Kenya, and have a look.
I've been there.
Yeah, now you know what I'm talking about. That is like gone now, apparently, not like when we were living there. But you think about her, she really did bring a light, but it's just, I think there was a novelty for when women did go out and do something crazy, like what Joy Adamson did, what Karen Blixen did, that shone a light. There's a novelty. There's also integrity that should go with it. And I think that's where Nancy's going in what we all write and do. And so it should, I think that's part of the motherly, maternal, let's have some integrity on it. But let's, Sharon, with you, who do you look to as inspiration?
Well, I thought about it and I went another direction. Mine is not a travel writer, but someone from my hometown in Greenville, Ohio. Annie Oakley is from Greenville,
No
Ohio.
way.
Oh.
Yes. She was
Very
born in
cool.
1860 in Darke County, Ohio. And as a young girl, it was an impoverished family of 6. And they didn't have any way of, so to get food for the family, she'd go out with her father and shoot squirrels
Mm.
and you know, forest animals. And she became so good at it that she sold them to the other people. And then she became a skilled marksman. So she joined finally this was when she was 15, she joined the Buffalo Bill's Wild West show.
Yeah.
And she had to make her way as a woman in the late 1800s, you know, the only woman in this Wild West show. And so anyway, she became an advocate for women to learn a sport that was primarily dominated by men very early. She was probably the first of that type.
She's a badass.
She's a Billy the Kid.
Oh,
She's a
yeah.
Billy the Kid.
That's
And
awesome.
there's a museum in town, and there's Annie Oakley Days every summer, and she's buried at a cemetery. And she married her first promoter, and he when she was very young, and they lived their life together, and they died within a few days of one another in
Wow.
1926.
Oh, wow. Annie Oakley,
How
though,
about
she is, you know,
Awesome.
you think of her with that big old gun and you're like, wow, back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to think about Buffalo Bill being open-minded to let women be part of it. You know,
Well, that's
using
an
that word.
interesting story. He did not want her in the show, even though she was better than any man
That's why.
when she did a test. But the guy that was supposed to get the part in the show, he was on a riverboat and it sank, and his guns went to the bottom of the river, and so he couldn't recover in time. And she was Wild Bill reached out to her, and she got his spot. So it still wasn't easy. None of her course through her career was easy, but
Maybe she was on the bank and the boat was going by and she shot a hole in it.
it could have been. Maybe she was determined. We know that.
There's a really good song. It's by
Annie,
Johnny
get your
Mas-
gun.
No, it's different. It's a different song. It's by Johnny Masper, the Mama's Boys. I have to send it to you. And it says Buck Snort, but it's not. And I had the wrong name for years, but I'll have to send it to you. It's really good because it's like Annie's gonna get your gun, but like this song's, you're basically feeling like you're the rabbit being chased in the woods and you listen to it. It's a good song. So very cool. Annie Oakley's awesome. So let's go to you, Marie. Who's inspiring you?
Well, there's so many, it's hard to say, but I would go to Elizabeth Cochran Seaman, otherwise known as Nellie Bly, because she did that 72 days around the world.
Nice.
And I think I'm not a journalist by any means, but I like to investigate what's going on, and I'll take the risk. You know, human interest stories, environment, what's going on with our wildlife. I love that. So right now I have myself involved in writing a story for South Carolina Wildlife magazine about gun dogs. And so I'm out there in the swamps before daylight.
Right on.
With waders on. And I just think Nellie Bly would have done that too. She wouldn't turn anything down when she was wanting to investigate and write about something.
Cool.
We know about South Carolina and your swamps and have been there with the gators. And you do not touch the Spanish moss because little chiggers will come and get you.
Chiggers get you.
And no, it's true.
I had them recently, Lisa. I had those chiggers recently last July. I walked from the mountains to the sea across South Carolina the whole month of July.
Was this part of Appalachian Trail? No, it wouldn't be. Right?
No, this is the Palmetto Trail. It goes from the mountains to the sea.
Okay.
And it's contained within the South Carolina National Heritage Corridor. And so I did that for the month of July, and those somewhere in the middle, those chiggers got me.
Yeah, see, there's
I think I got them in Arkansas because they didn't go away. Like I know this, and well, no, it was Arkansas. We went in that. We were fine. It started in Lubbock with mosquitoes, and then we went to Arkansas, and we went hiking in the woods, and all of a sudden I was itchy for months. Like it was like a month, like it was winter and I still had bumps on my legs. Would
Yeah.
that be chiggers?
It's
It's-
very,
yeah.
very possible.
Oh,
But a good traveling companion is you can use witch hazel is
And
really good.
apple cider vinegar.
Apple
There
cider
you go.
Yeah,
vinegar,
we carry that.
Put
hydrogen
fingernail polish
peroxide.
on you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
hydrogen
Oh.
peroxide is really, really good.
Yeah, we travel with that.
Yeah,
you never
so
know.
if you're gonna walk through sugar country, it's good. Put it on the soles of your feet before you put your socks on.
Yeah. Apple cider
be the-
vinegar
There
is
you
good.
go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
Nancy just likes to cover herself with rum and then hope
Well, no,
nothing
that doesn't
happens.
work. That brings a whole bunch of things like bees and hornets.
So Betsy, what about you? Who do you look to as inspiration in women's history?
So mine's a little different. There's two things. I love women badasses.
Mm.
And I love women who not only break the glass ceiling, but stomp it to pieces. And in my book, the one that I love is Amelia Earhart.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's
Oh,
awesome.
So full of
Yeah.
confidence.
Mm.
She tackled a
Yeah.
round the world flight because every man who had
Mm.
ever flown them said, "Oh, it can't be done."
Mhm.
And Amelia says, "Oh, it can be done, and I will do it."
Mhm. Good for her.
And she's just a big badass.
And
Mhm.
beautiful too. Like she was
Yes.
actually
Oh
like
my-
a she was all
gorgeous.
into beauty and cosmetics and like I
Mhm.
can fly a plane and put lipstick on. Look at this.
Yeah,
She was a diva.
But you know who else was really badass is Juliet Childs. She was
Oh,
a
I love her.
spy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, think of
Absolutely.
that. She's a spy, and then here she's her little cooking show. La 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 la. Meanwhile,
But she was a World War
spy.
II spy. Yeah.
She was a spy.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
got to shout out to Clementine Peddleford. I know every time we do these shows, I always bring her up because her and Priscilla, Susan Thu, rode around on horseback and documented Sequoia National Park before it was
Mhm.
Sequoia National
Oh.
Park.
Mm.
And it's what helped create Kings Canyon Park now and expand it. And she inspired Ansel Adams to get off his butt and do some more than he was already so famous and doing so well. And so it was Susan Priscilla Thew, and we love Priscilla because our sock monkey travel mascot is Priscilla. But she did that. But Clementine Paddleford was one of the first food travel writers, and they eventually flew her around on a plane. She went out into the Midwest where people never went. And, you know, they just like, it's the main cities for food. And she went, well, what is America eating? And went out and documented what America is eating. There's a great book, Hometown Appetites. And she would go into small towns, into the farmers' kitchens, and sit down and get the real story. And so Clementine Paddleford, she's just, they ended up
Good to
flying
know.
her around. She did some cool stuff. And as far as I'm concerned, the Midwest is cool. I dig it. I like it out there. That's cool. It's pretty. So I want to ask each of you 3 things. Where was the last place you went to that you're going to write a story about or have written a story about? Where's next? And then where's a dream place that you want to go once everything becomes normal? Whatever that is, right? And then Nancy's got a crazy question following up on that. You know Nancy on that.
Mhm.
So let's start with you, Sharon.
I saw those eyes.
Okay.
Linda.
I know, Nancy, I know. But Sharon, let's start with you on this. So
All right.
where was the last place that you're
The last
writing about?
place
Yeah.
I visited was Turkey in October.
Wow. Very cool.
And it was a great trip, and I fell in love with Istanbul.
Wow.
That was always my dream to go there. It's where East meets West. It's Asia and Europe. It's just fascinating. So I wrote a story for Food, Travel, and Wine magazine.
Right on.
That is due in 2 weeks. So that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
So where is next?
Next, Costa Rica.
Cool.
I'm going to Costa Rica February 6th for 3 weeks. I've always wanted to go. I want to see the beautiful landscapes and the wildlife. And
Toucans.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I will go a couple days early and for work and write about some properties that I'll visit while there. And the rest is a personal vacation.
Awesome. Okay, so
Nice.
where do you want to go once everything gets normal?
Oh, I want to go to Jordan.
Oh,
I am dying to go to Jordan. I was supposed to lead a tour to Egypt in February.
Right.
And in group travel right now, it is just a tough, tough time. The ladies, who knows what's going to happen? They're afraid they're going to get somewhere and get stuck. They won't know how to get back.
yeah.
And no one in the end would firm up that trip in time for it to make. So instead of going to Egypt, I thought, well, darn, I'm going somewhere in the Middle East anyway. And Jordan's where I want to go as soon as I can get there. Maybe like April.
Awesome. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Betsy, what about you? Where was the last place?
Last place was St. Augustine, that was
Awesome.
written about in Travel-Awaits, and all about food. I could literally eat my way through St. Augustine.
By the way, you have great recipes on your website too.
Thank you.
A lot of good cocktails in there. I'm just saying.
Yes, yes. I do like my cocktails and my wine.
Hopefully we'll see you when we get through Florida at some point this year.
I hope
Hopefully,
so.
hopefully see you all. That's the one thing we're hoping, but we're just dodging bullets and staying. We just hang out with gators in the swamps
Yeah.
with the jiggers.
It's safe.
You know,
It's safer.
right now until we're just, because we travel full time. And so we're trying not to be too exposed, but and we're vaccinated, everybody, we're fine, but don't want everybody whining on me. But Betsy, where's next?
Huntsville, Alabama, the end of
Oh,
February.
nice. Very nice, very nice, beautiful area. There's a wonderful wildlife refuge out near there.
I hear that. That's why I'm going to go out a couple of days early.
Good,
Cool.
good, because they have sandhill cranes and you might see them at
It's
that time of year.
awesome.
Yes.
It's so
beautiful.
awesome.
We saw them in January on our way from Madison, Wisconsin snow
Yeah,
down.
That
And
was
we're
crazy.
like, turn, there's birds. And it's a little
They're
warmer here.
awesome. I live on 9 acres here in Central Florida, and we've got sandhill cranes and turkeys and deer. They just all wander right
You
down
live
the
in a
how
beautiful
nice.
area.
Great.
Florida's
Wow.
awesome.
Cool.
Where's a dream escape that you haven't been?
Oh, we were just talking about this the other night. I really would love to explore parts of Eastern Europe that I have not seen. I've been to the Soviet Union twice. I have not seen Hungary, and I've not seen Poland. And so that's really the dream. As soon as it
I want to
opens
come
up,
with you. We've got our family roots in Hungary, so I want to go.
Yes.
It's there. And I know Diva Linda has been to Eastern Europe, right? And the Czech Republic, that connects with you deeply, that area. And I remember that garlic soup recipe you brought back.
Yep.
What was that? What were you drinking, that one day wine stuff? What was that?
That way it was like I couldn't even pronounce it if I wanted to.
Or no, that's
or something like that. And, yeah, no, it's like a one day, exactly.
it's hooch, pure hooch.
People
Yeah.
come with wagons to get it and take it home, and I don't know what in the hell we do with it, because you got to drink it fast. It's not something that you can like bottle and leave forever. But yeah, that was great. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
So where was the last place for you? I've seen you all over Arizona lately.
Yeah, all over Arizona, but I think my last big trip was that 3-month, I can't even describe it, 3 months in Alaska on a boat was
Diva on a boat.
Diva on a boat, that in Alaska.
Sounds like an SNL thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like it's its own country,
Diva
and
on the boat.
Diva on the boat for 3 months, not so good. No, not.
Maybe you got to go with Betsy on the tropical style, like
Maybe. Boats just really aren't my thing, but they are my husband's thing, and that, of course, and I'll be on it in June of this year, but not going so far. But I have been discovering Arizona little bits by bits, and it is interesting that if you post things on Facebook and Twitter, magazines will find you and they will say to you, I see you've been here, there, and everywhere, and would you like to write that up for us? That's been my experience. So those who say that social media doesn't bring jobs, it does actually.
It does.
But you have to be open to it and you have to be ready for it, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so Alaska was a big one. Currently is very interested in the fact that Arizona has a lot of garden areas, agriculture, huge in agriculture. And I don't think it's going to be here for long. You go out to these beautiful farms and they're just surrounded by homes. And you can just tell that the new homes, and you just can tell that the developers are chomping at the bit. Even where I live, I just saw in the newspaper and thought, oh God, somebody had got a permit for 7,000 homes in this little community that I live in. Just going to clog everything up, blah, blah, blah. So you can't stop progress. But, you know, Arizona is a very interesting place to live. And I guess I didn't really think about, that it was really agricultural. I should have from Yuma, you know, because we would spend the time in Yuma and all that agriculture, birds, wildlife, you know, it's similar down here.
Yeah, your area is still very, especially up by Mesa and up north of Casa Grande, where all the cotton is grown. If you go south of Tucson, Sayurita, south of there a little bit, Rio Rico, and it gets into Santa Cruz. It's right on the border, so people get freaked out, but we don't. It's beautiful. You go hiking out there. I mean, this is where the jaguars are starting to slowly come back through. El Jefe it's awesome, and it's one of the most dearest places in our world. And they are doing agriculture, and they're also using a lot of Native American traditional ways of growing, and that's something very special. And Mexican ways too. And it's just there are these cattle ranches, agriculture, but they've managed to, I don't know, keep their land going while they're facing all the issues at the border.
I think, you know, tourism, as you and I have discussed, you know, is very important, but planning, you need to plan your cities and your states.
Just
you know, these developers.
Just put Diva run for president. Give her the
I know you have the same feeling. Tourism dollars bring in lots of money.
But the community and the tourism sector need to. We have a whole series on National Park Traveling about it. But the community and the tourism community need to connect more. And I'm thinking through COVID, maybe people start to realize, oh, my restaurant, oh, this, oh. Maybe I want to see my family, but not in my house, you know, put them somewhere, you know, so this change over and realizing that tourism dollars affect everything. It helps put, you know, kids through school and keep schools there. And that's why having responsible, regenerative, I can say that word now. It's been taking me a while to get there. And sustainable tourism is so important. And having these communities, it's huge. As we travel now, we're seeing places that are really beautiful. We get there and we'll go back a year later. We're now into that new thing of, you know, going back to an area like Austin, Asheville. Both of them are very similar. One's, you know, Texas, one's up in the mountains in North Carolina. But everybody, because of COVID, now wants places that are scenic. And it's like, if you have a square inch of land, someone's going to squeeze their butt in there. And it's like, that's not quality of life. If you're doing that, you're already going against what you thought. But we're seeing that building is going on everywhere and people are moving to the rural areas, which are nice. And I get it, man. Who I don't want to live in smog. That's why I just travel. Like, I don't have to deal with it. Honestly, who wants to? I don't want to deal with it. But you see that happening, and that balance has to happen. Even with regards to huge hotel complexes and coming into small areas, small communities, that bed and breakfast needs that, or you know what I mean? There has to be a balance. And Diva Linda, you're really right. But where's next for you?
Well, I'm hoping that I'll finally, after 2 years, be able to go to Russia this year.
That's awesome.
And then I really, really, really want to go see Ireland and Scotland. I've seen so many other wonderful things, and most people start with England, Ireland, Scotland, but somehow I did the whole different route, and I really would like to see that. So fingers crossed that all works out for me in the fall. I think maybe in the fall will be a really good time. You don't want to go in the summer, you know, so plus we have the boating, the whole boat. the whole boating thing in the summer. So in the fall, life gets back to normal.
And so you get wine on the boat. So at least you
I
got
get wine on the boat. I've always been very lucky to
and an
find
espresso machine.
Yeah, and it sucks that energy just right out of the whole boat. It's fabulous. Anyway, yeah. So I've always been happy to have a company send me a box or two of wine, and then we have it the whole summer with different things that we're celebrating, eating, entertaining, and so forth. So that's always been fun. I hope to find somebody like that. I think we're doing 8 at the Gate. That would have been a nice wine. 8 at the Gate is a wine.
You
company.
got the wine.
You got the wine. So
Yeah, we
you
got the
like
wine.
Yeah.
Nancy keeps eyeballing. I said, no, we got to
I
wait.
know. I'm
till
like, how
closer to
long
the
is it
interview.
going to
Oh,
sit there?
No, it's
really good.
Okay, well, we're gonna
Gonna-
open it. You know what? The sun is shining right after this interview. I don't care what time it is. We're going outside in the sun, and we'll open up one of the white bottles. It's Australia wines and South African wines, New Zealand wines. When they are just masters of white wines. I wanted, and we're going to get to Marie with where you're going and what you've done recently. But Linda, you brought up something that I remember from years ago in an interview talking. You said Russia, you're going there. That's what you're hoping is going to happen for next. And you've been to Jordan. You were going to Turkey, Egypt. You were talking about the Middle East, Czech. Everyone going everywhere. These are places that families. And I remember we did a travel writer insider with you a long time ago, and you said, oh, your family, when you were going to Jordan and even going to Czech Republic, that as a woman going there without your family there to watch over you, this is a scary thing. And that's why I brought up Nancy earlier with her going to Kenya was dangerous, and shit happened, quite frankly. and so we learned. We learned how to be aware, So
it's like if you go to this country and then it took a year and a half to get out.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, you learn all these things, and you learn awareness and being. So you brought up that Russia right now, people are going, you're going to go to Russia now, so let's start with you on that. What is your family? Are they at this point going, there's no bother trying to talk you out of it? Like, where is that on that conversation of safety?
I think once I made it through Jordan without a hiccup, there was never another conversation like that. Jordan was the hardest one. Luckily, my daughter, Nicole, spent 3 or 4 years in Eastern Europe
that's right.
for us. And so she fell in love with that whole part there. She actually ended up marrying a German national and so she was always comfortable with me going to the Czech or wherever, Poland, wherever that was, because she'd been there and she thought it was just fine. But the foot sort of came down when I said I'm going to Jordan, even though it was on a planned trip with IFWTWA, and there'd be guides and all that kind of stuff. And there was no hiccup whatsoever. It was a fabulous trip, and I'm glad I didn't listen to any of them. So no, after that, they just they gave up trying to have an opinion on where I went. Just said, well, be safe and have a good time. And but there is that initial trip where your family goes, holy shit, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
What do you, even with a guide, they'll come out with, come
be careful of the guide. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, be careful of the guide.
Oh, be careful of the house cleaner going in your hotel room.
Oh yeah, that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly think of it, and okay, so
don't eat salad. Don't have ice.
Oh God. Oh yeah. I did it all. I didn't care. I did absolutely.
Just have a cocktail and get over it. But
get that
But keep your eyes open and your ears open. Honestly,
there's going to be somebody who's going to not have a good time for one of those reasons. It wasn't me, and all I can say was it was Jordan in particular. People getting on the airplane. Don't go. You don't know what you're doing. I'm going. Goodbye. But
That's funny.
Just
and you got on a camel, and they smell lovely.
Got it.
And
I
they have
fabulous,
a beautiful,
I love
beautiful
camels.
temperament.
I love camels. I
was
love
on a donkey too. I was on a burro. Who knew?
You were on a donkey.
I was.
Sorry, it's funny. Sharon, what about you? Because you went to Turkey, you did Egypt. I mean, even the Egypt thing, you went off on your own. Like here, I'm going
Yes.
to Egypt, and you were literally on your own because no one
I
was
have
traveling
been
there.
adventurous since I was a little child.
Mm.
And there's just, my husband knows there's no stopping me. He takes Linda, your family's, okay, go, be safe, send me pictures. And he just trusts me. And I've been all over the world by myself, and I'm going to continue.
Yeah.
COVID makes it a little harder, but you just have to
Yes.
be smart. You have to be safe.
Mm.
But the world hasn't stopped, and I'm not going to stay home. And
Look at I'm not doing it.
no,
Shanae,
Mm-mm.
Shanae, it's not
No.
happening. Betsy,
No.
for you, like going to places like you were talking about, and just East Europe, all of that.
I don't usually go by myself, to be honest, because Jim loves those sorts of places. I do a lot of domestic by myself, but when we do international, he usually always comes with. And the best takeaway I have, no matter where you are in the entire world, is situational awareness.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and buddy
Yeah.
system, and
Mhm.
I mean, you guys also sail, and I know Linda,
Mhm.
you can connect on that where that's a teamwork. That's
Yeah.
not one of us can
Absolutely.
just sit and drink
Mhm.
espresso while everything's flying, and that's not happening. You have to.
Mhm.
Nancy and I have a buddy system.
Yeah.
We travel. It's like if we stop at a rest area or somewhere, we go together. And
Yeah,
we've
we
done
have-
it one time. We just
Mm.
forgot. And I got back in the car and I looked at her
Mm.
like, we are so stupid.
Yeah.
Just because
why
we're
did
in the
we do
middle of
that?
Idaho somewhere
Yeah.
and it's freezing doesn't mean anyone can attack. Things
Yeah,
happen at
it's-
rest areas.
Yes.
Things
We have
do
a radio show
happen.
coming up, Rest Area Radio, just so people can hear the weird. We
Mhm.
watch drug deals and everything. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
No.
We have a new character, Rest Area
They're
Rambo.
Rambo. That,
I
the
can't
Barney
even
Fife move
explain
over.
this man.
It's awesome. But I want to go to you, Marie. I wanted to we're going to go back to where you were and all of that and where you're going to, but especially with your career in the military, we're talking about, traveling off and going to all these places. What is your thoughts on that? Where have you been that you're like, uh-oh, or do you just, what's going to happen?
Well, if you go way back, I think Panama at the
Ooh.
fall of Noriega.
Oh,
During
wow.
that time period. I
Ooh.
was there before the actual fall, but
Yikes.
just slid out of there just before it. And so to give you an example, when I got there, first of all, my bags didn't arrive, but I didn't have to worry about uniforms because they told me don't wear uniforms. I was staying downtown. So you would be arrested if you were caught in an American uniform downtown. And so I stayed.
What did you really do in the military?
Yeah, really.
Oh my gosh, it would take a while.
Yeah.
But,
I bet.
I stayed in a luxury hotel that had a lounge at the top of it, and it was just beautiful. But when the General Lefty was the Southcom commander there, and he showed up there at the lounge, and his command sergeant major came to my table and said, I guess you'll be on our battalion run in the morning.
Nice.
And so I was, but my pocketbook was stolen on the way in there, and I was in the vehicle with 2 military police. And so the guy came up to the side of the car. I was on the passenger side with the window halfway down, and my pocketbook was in between my legs. And so the guy yelled into the window, and I did like that with my hands up, and he reached in and grabbed my pocketbook and ran. So I had no other clothes but what I had on, and no pocketbook, nothing.
Oh, no, ID then too?
Everything was gone.
Oh, the ID is a big deal.
Yeah, that's a
And
big deal.
so my 2 sponsors that I had loved to go out into the jungle and drink beer. And but I got tasked to perform protocol officer duties, even though I was a signal officer. They said we don't need signal, we need protocol. And so I flew around in a Black Hawk the whole time with the sides up, even when it was pouring down rain, and planned menus and those type things.
And the Black Hawk, holy cow.
Yes, and as I was
Wow.
leaving Panama, all the military were being brought back onto the installations because of the danger there. Everything that I had in my room was stolen out of my room. What I gathered after I bought everything that I needed again, replaced what I had lost that didn't run.
Mm.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, we are at this point when you're, I mean, we used to go back and forth to Mexico a lot and weird things, not bad, but like I learned, which is something we learned in Africa is spread your money out. And it's really about
Yeah.
anywhere. And this is about the
You
States too.
Never put
Don't
all
keep
your
all
money
your,
in one
don't put all your
place.
cash in one place,
Never.
put it in the bottom of your shoe.
In
When
the
we got
tire
robbed,
rim.
when we got robbed at gunpoint in New Orleans and my grandparents were in the
Oh,
back seat of the
God.
car and they're little people. And it's weird because I'm Amazon woman, but all this
Dude.
guy's going around and Nancy and I chased the guy, which was stupid, but we just came out of
Yeah, then
Africa and at a time where
he turned around and we realized, oh yeah, he does have a
and he
gun.
had a gun,
And we're
like,
what are
hello,
we doing?
it was dumb. And there was no cell phones at that time. We went it was a Shoney's restaurant in New Orleans and I had to go in to get them to call 911 and they wouldn't call because they were on a personal call. And I'm like, you set this up. Like, I'm
Yeah. I'm pretty
so,
sure you're right about that.
I mean, we'd just come from just riots and everything that was going on in Africa and in South Africa. And so our brains were we were a little different. And I literally reached over, took the phone, reached over the hostess desk, pulled I will be calling 911 and that's how we got 2 cops and they came in and at this point we started chasing the guy, and that was dumb. But my grandmother, he took everything. Luckily the keys, Nancy told him where to go. She didn't see the gun. And her thing was we're going to get carjacked, which is what happened in Africa all the time. So she was like, grab the keys and he's going to steal the car. And then she told him where to go. And then he's like, oh yeah. And all the language I'm not supposed to say on the show. And grandmother of all people, who is pretty, I'm sorry, but a little on the ditzy side, took her money and she'd been playing. That's why we were late. She'd never been to a casino and she got us stuck in Biloxi, Mississippi on a barge in a casino. And she thought this was the best thing ever. She had a good time. She made money. She took this wad of cash and put it down her pants. It was in her pantyhose because she wore pantyhose back then. And so we leave. The cops come and the guy goes, was he black like me or black like him? And I'm looking at him going, Jesus,
what?
I don't know how to answer
He said,
that.
actually, what he says, was he cream like me or chocolate like him?
Yeah, it was just a weird thing. And we're like, we don't know how to answer that. And nothing. So eventually we leave and I'm going, we have to get all the way back to Pensacola or Fort Walton. That's where we were. And we need gas money. I didn't know where we were. There's no GPS. Look at it. We're driving all through Bourbon Street, all through New Orleans places, not knowing. All I know is there's a highway up there and I'm getting on that damn highway. And boy, did I drive like a bad hell. Finally, we got on the highway. And if it wasn't for my granny stuffing her money down her pants,
she got some smarts.
We would not have had gas to get home. On the way back to Nancy's place, we stopped at my apartment and got wine and cigarettes because I smoked them. Because I was like all shaky. But it's weird. You have to have that awareness. And we got robbed because we were too busy chit-chatting with them.
Yeah.
Instead of being the situational awareness, and it's easy to just get comfortable in a place and like everybody and not have that awareness, male or female.
We didn't have the right flags in our brain for where we were. We were in a bad part of town, but didn't get that because we had lived in Africa where everything looked like that. So we were quite comfy and we didn't get it because we were just brand new. And my parents totally didn't get it. So there we were in a stupid place to be at a stupid time. Yeah. And even, I have to say, even the policemen were really lame. It was hard. It was a
yeah, it was hard. But anyway. that's
we're
something,
still here. So.
The awareness, Marie, any tips for women traveling?
Well, situational awareness is a good one. In fact, when my pocketbook was stolen, I was on an overpass. We were at a red light on an overpass. So it was a window halfway down. But when people are desperate, they'll go to extreme means to get what they need. And so I think that's one of the biggest ones right there. In fact, I'm still skeptical. I was going to ask Linda about going to Jordan, going to Russia, but if she's going alone, because I'm still skeptical of going places like that alone. And I really like tours by locals, and tours by locals is all over the world. And and I've done some amazing trips. One was in Montgomery, Alabama. And the guy who did that Tours by Locals, he had marched with Martin Luther King. He was just a child then.
Wow.
And the parents told them, he and his siblings, they'll stay at home. This is going to be bad. Well, they didn't stay at home, and King got kind of close to Montgomery. They left the house and went and joined. And so that guy had the inside story. He was so well versed. And so I thought, Russia is in my plans too. I see that on the horizon. And I'm wondering if tours by locals would be a good thing to do there. Because they told me so far, when I looked into it, that they can get me to where I need to be for photography and add that to it if I need it. So that was one thing I was going to ask Linda about, whether she's planning on going there alone with the group or what, because I'm researching that right now.
Well, when I go to Russia, I'll be on Viking. I'll be on the Viking
Okay.
cruise, and it'll all be arranged, and they'll all be supervised, and they give you some small unsupervised time, but
Right.
mostly,
Mhm.
mostly you're with a guide in the front and a person in the back, and the excursions are not real long, so there's not a whole lot of because I've been on Viking a lot, so and I think they have the thing to do when you travel to some of these places is to make sure that on your first trip especially, that you nicely get a lay of the land. Being extremely adventurous on your first try, maybe not so much, maybe on your second or your third try. And I would highly suggest, Jordan has a visitors bureau in New York, and they are really, really doing outreaches now to get people to go back and visit. So their tourism is really, really ramping up. I'm hoping that perhaps
Linda, I was with in Jordan with Great Escape Publishing. That was led by Joe Sindor, the photographer. And I did climb those 800 steps at Petra on the donkey.
Oh my God.
From the treasury to the monastery.
Yeah.
But that was an incredible trip.
Wow.
Yeah, I just think that if you're going to a brand new place and not in a group or guided session, going to the Visitors Bureau and asking for trusted sources and looking those up, and not being extremely adventurous on your first trip is probably, especially if you're not quite sure. Now, I never ever had a problem in Jordan. It was probably the safest trip I ever took, anywhere, including Europe. Hands off on everything. It was just crazy. It was
And awesome wine. It's one of the oldest
You know,
wine regions in the world.
But I think when you're traveling, if you act nervous or disorganized, you invite, not on purpose, of course, but you invite the person who is looking for someone who is distracted, disorganized, looks out of place, looks nervous. They're not looking to rob somebody who's looking at them saying, hey, stand back, I'll kill you and eat your feet.
And don't walk with your phone in your face. Don't do that.
Oh, the phone
Be
thing.
aware. The phone thing.
Seriously, the phone
The
thing.
phone thing, people are so unaware. I mean, we've watched people walk into cars and walk into, and I think it's funny.
And it's funny, but it isn't.
It's not.
So,
but as you're traveling, be aware of all of, and it's just general.
You need eyes in the back of your head,
which
means you turn around. If you hear somebody behind you, turn around.
Yeah.
Let them know that you know. You've got to make your space like, this is my space. I see, I watch, and I will react. You can't be distracted to the point of And you definitely can't act dizzy female. You can't.
I don't think
You
anyone
can't
here
do
has
that.
that attitude of,
Yeah.
no,
you
no, we're
can't.
not the ones, if we got chased in the woods, we're not tripping over anything.
No.
None of us
And
are
we're not,
tripping.
and we're not going to be wearing red high heels going.
Well, Diva
"Ah,
Linda might.
ah."
No, but she'll have her boots on with blinkies. You know, that's the thing. She will. You know,
Yeah.
you get the right shoes for the right job and you can still
Mhm.
bling it up. So I want to go back to you, Marie.
Mm.
So where was your last place? Where's next? And where do you want to go?
Okay, I was in Iceland in November.
Wow.
And Land of Fire and Ice. And I haven't written the story yet, but I'm working on that soon because it was so incredible to get off the bus and step onto the ground. I felt like I was on a different planet.
Mm.
I really felt like I was on a different planet because the earth, you know, there's steam and smoke coming out of the earth everywhere. And during that season, it's not green and pretty. It looks like you're on the moon. And
Cool.
but the whole thing was just so different for me that I can't wait. The land was so rugged. We went to the glaciers, did a lot of things, and I just want to get back to that and write about it soon.
Cool.
Cool.
Where's
Mm.
next?
Well, next I'm going to Hawaii. I told you that, but I had so many trips lined up that have been postponed. They're all crashing into each other now. I had Bali on there, and it looks like I had Bali for May. It's been postponed twice, and now it looks like it's going to be postponed again until the fall. And so the Bali, and then I had England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. It looks like the England, Wales, Scotland part of it might be postponed. And then I also had Istanbul. Somebody mentioned that, the Aegean
Oh, wow,
Sea
yeah.
and the Greek islands. I have that coming up in the October timeframe this year.
Well, hopefully it'll all come through. I know this whole year has been a little bit interesting that way. So where do you want to go that you haven't been?
Russia.
Ah, there it is, Russia.
Yeah, I
Cool.
want to take
That's
pictures
so funny.
of those onion domes. I just am fascinated by the whole place. I want to especially go to Moscow. And,
Excellent. So, okay, in closing, Nancy has an interesting question for each of you in regards to
Okay, so here it
travel
is,
movies.
ladies.
Yeah.
Yes, here's the question. And then Lisa, you can call on them when they're
Mhm.
ready to answer, but you are each going to be featured in a travel film, okay? And so the question is, who would you want to play your part in the film, and who would you like to be the male counterpart in the film?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, come on, a travel movie. It could be a road
Yeah,
trip movie.
travel
It could be on a
movie.
boat. You
You're
could
gonna
go
be
anywhere. It could be like
the
a whole James Bond
yeah,
style,
it
you
could
know.
be anything.
There's
but
always
it's
travel in
it's
film.
travel based, so you get to go somewhere exotic
Or wherever you want.
And who's going to play your part, and
Yeah.
who is the male counterpart? Because you
So
got to have.
Sharon, you look ready for this.
Yes. Oh, I'm thinking, my
wow.
brain's going, oh, I would like Diane Lane to play me.
Oh, that's a
Because I
good
loved
one.
her in Under the Tuscan Sun. You know,
Mhm.
she had bad luck. She went to Tuscany. She bought that house and fixed it up, and there was a little romance in there. Oh, but romance for men. Oh, I would like George Clooney to be my.
Oh, well,
counterpart.
gee.
This is a geez. Oh my gosh. All right. What about you, Betsy?
Kate Winslet.
Oh.
And why am I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, she's seeing the dude.
Yellowstone. Who's the Kevin Costner?
Kevin
Oh,
Costner.
yeah.
Ooh,
Nice
okay,
one.
okay. Yeah.
Ooh.
I like
Cool.
that. I just went to the music of Yellowstone. Ryan Bingham. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just go to that. Diva Linda.
Let me pass on that for now. I've got the woman. I just don't know who the man might be.
Ooh.
That'd be much. I have to give it a little bit more thought.
Oh, she's
Cast
thinking
writing.
about the dude. She's thinking about the dude. Okay, Marie, who have you got?
Well, I think Meryl Streep.
Nice.
Nice one. Yeah.
Absolutely. She's the
Mhm.
best. She really
Mhm.
is. Some people don't like
And-
her though, and they're rude. That's just, it's rude.
Well, I kind of like that about her. People have mixed feelings about her.
No, she's cool. I like her. Yeah. Who's gonna be your dude?
Well, I hate to repeat what's already said, but I had George Clooney down here. And, so I'm gonna keep him. I'm gonna keep him here.
I'll share them with you. We'll share.
Okay.
Thank
2
you,
for George
Sharon.
Clooney. Diva
Wow.
Linda, have you got your dude?
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, so Goldie Hawn,
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I
cool.
just think because mine
She's
would
fun.
have to,
Yeah.
'cause mine would have to be a comedy.
I love her.
Couldn't be a drama, it'd have to be a comedy.
Private
And
Benjamin.
maybe, what's the name of the guy that just got killed in the spy movie? Oh, the big spy movie, the big franchise.
Was
Oh,
that,
Daniel Craig? No,
Yes. Yeah,
James
that he'd be good.
Are
He'd
you
be
talking about
fine,
the
or-
James
Yeah,
Bond
he'd be
dude?
good.
He's another
Bond
James Bond
movie?
dude.
The
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
James
who's the
Bond dude.
last one? They just killed him off.
They
Oh,
killed
nice.
Daniel Craig.
So I think that might be right. I think it's
Daniel
Daniel
Craig,
Craig,
I
but
think.
anyway, or Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant's funny. I like Hugh Grant. So
Hugh
that'd be
Grant
fun.
is funny.
That would be
He
good
is
for
funny.
comedy.
I like
Yeah,
Hugh,
it
Hugh
would.
Grant
Yeah.
and Goldie Hawn
Yeah.
make it.
That would be
that's-
good.
Makes sense.
That's
It makes
pretty
sense,
funny.
right?
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I like that. Very
Yeah, I
good.
don't think Daniel Craig is all that funny.
Nancy, are you still taking Chris Christopherson?
Absolutely.
Oh, we like him.
Yes,
Oh,
we do.
Yeah, yeah. Who's your woman? Who are you? Who's you? Who is you?
Diane
There's some good
Keaton.
grammar.
Diane
Diane Keaton.
Keaton.
Oh, we like
Very
her.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
she's good.
Yeah.
She's good. She's good.
But she better stay off of Chris Christopherson.
All right, final question before we go. It's been so much fun with you ladies. And I
Yeah,
think,
it's awesome.
we do these shows again every second Tuesday, every second Friday. You hear IFWTWA members, the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association members here on Big Blend Radio. So bigblendradio.com, IFTWA, yeah, did I get it right?
IFW.
.org. Yeah, .org is the website for IFWTWA. But this is a benefit even on the shows. I always think that's really cool to hear, and for our audience to hear about different destinations,
Mhm.
to hear about different travel writers. They're talking about that. It's the important, like Diva Linda, you were talking about social media, building up who you are as a travel writer. It's social media, on your blogs, people connecting with you. It's important that they know who you are. Gone are the days where nobody knows who you are and you sit at a typewriter and you just pretend you're not
Yeah.
there. That doesn't exist anymore.
No.
People need to know who you are, and you have to be, promote yourself. So see a lot of value in that. But from each of you, just, one thing about what you enjoy being a member for, because I know you've all been a member for a while. And Sharon, for you, what's, we've got Diva Linda, the president here,
Yeah.
but
I joined because for the professional development, I've gained so much from being a member. We have webinars about writing skills and how to pitch a story, and meeting with tourism bureaus in places, and then I get invited to those places. So it's wonderful for professional development for me.
awesome.
Cool.
What about you, Betsy?
I'd have to second what Sharon said. I think the professional development, but also the networking, and then the benefits, like you all, like the Big Blend radio and the show. So I think those are all benefits.
Well, thank
We're
you.
a benefit.
We're beneficial.
Ooh, we got the-
No, but I think also, like, you got to think about the, Food Wine Travel magazine, the FWT magazine for IFWTWA too. Is
Mm,
beautifully
Yes.
done, and it always
Yes,
showcases
it is.
writers.
Very well
It's like
done.
putting the writers first, in there. The way they do it is really good. Marie, for you, how long have you been a member?
Not that long. It seems like I was, didn't it change the name or something, because I was a member on Great Escape Publishing, Travel-Writers Cafe, and then, I don't know how this came about, but anyway, when I saw it, I joined, maybe a year ago. And I joined because of the inspiration, like I'm getting right now. I just love hearing what everybody else is doing, and that inspires me to try to do it and think that I can do it.
Oh, that's cool. And it seems that everyone works together and helps each other with, oh, if you're going here, I'll give you this person's name, or, it just seems like everyone's supporting each other instead of, competition. I mean, there's competing, and that's always a necessary thing in life, but there's also this camaraderie of helping each other move forward. And I think that's a really special thing when you see members of an organization do that, because they're also showcasing the organization and makes that organization do better. It's kind of a full circle thing, I remember a friend of ours who runs a chamber of commerce. She's like, it's not just about what the chamber can do for you, it's what can you do for the chamber of commerce. It's a two-way street on that.
Well, Lisa, I'll add to that, because that was one of the reasons I started my blog. I built the website, and then I realized I needed to get to a higher level. I needed a host. So I did that, and but I just couldn't figure out how to break into getting a byline in a magazine. It seemed so overwhelming to try to do it. You'd have to do hundreds before you might even get an inkling of something. And so I said, okay, I'll just create my website and start writing. And then that led to the photography, because I wanted my own images there. So that's how it happened. So getting to hear the stories of other people really helps me. It inspires me. It tells me that I can do it, because these are awesome stories I've been hearing.
Absolutely. Diva Linda, as past president and now member, and you're still running marketing and on the board and everything. For you, what's the bad? It's like, obviously you've got all of the answers on that, but for you now, because you've been in it so many years and you've seen it really rise up. I know with Marilyn Hill, also other people in past presidencies, Michelle Winter. We watched this organization start to flourish. It wasn't flourishing at the beginning, or what I mean. It did well, and it's really grown. I mean, to have a magazine, to have conferences, which has been difficult with COVID and everything, but all these trips. I mean, Jordan, I think those are things that it's really grown into.
I joined because my first interaction with this association was they came to me and asked for wine for one of their trips, one of their conferences. And so I did give them wine from the wine region that I represented. And through that, I learned more about it. And that was just at the tipping point where I decided that I wanted to be, I was going to go from being a commercial writer to a travel writer. And I found also that you really need a credential. You need something. People do ask, hosts do look at your credentials. And if they see that you're part, and I remember I used to host people, I really wanted to know, did they take the time, the interest, the money to invest in themselves in a professional organization? So I find that extra step really helped, and it just really helped my career, made it much easier for me, I think. And I stay because I love the organization. I started the professional development of things, but that's the teacher background in me. I saw that there was a need for that, because people would call and say, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you talk to a wine region? How do you, get a trip? So I started the professional development series, and it stuttered at first. It took the first 2 years, it didn't work out well because we didn't have the right, I hadn't found the right chair yet. And then we found the right chair, and the chair is up, and it just has become everything and more that I could have wanted. And
that's awesome.
It's awesome. And I think I really enjoy the conferences. I like going to the conferences and meeting everybody. And it's another great time where you can get lots of fam trips, media trips, meet people, etc. So, I have a lot invested over the many years that I've been in this organization, and I continue because I think it's important. We do find that we we often bring in writers that are just starting, and they get to a point where they don't really need the association anymore. They really have seen all the seminars, they've been here, done that, they can do what they want, but a lot of them still stay just because they love the networking, and they just love to, and a lot of them go from being a writer to being an editor or owning their own magazine or whatever. And
authors, books, there's a lot of authors.
People cultivate our people off the website and ask them, could you write this for me? Could you do that for me? I mean, these are all things that are very, very important. If you want to stay being a writer, it's just like being in the Chamber of Commerce. You gotta work it. They don't work it for you.
Yeah.
Give you the opportunities, but by God, you've got to work it yourself. So even that is also true. It's also true for those of us who have an awful lot of experience.
I think it's good to stay in organizations, to stay current. You may be at the top of your game. We've watched, experts on our shows that have had, monthly segments and things end up being on like the Dr. Phil show or like these really big national things.
Yep.
And then if you don't, that's great, but you need to continue the education. You can't just go, I made it here, and then go, oh, I've made it. It doesn't work that way. Success
that way. No.
is a series of successes, and that's how you get to excellence. And you got to keep the networking. I think is really important. I love seeing everybody on social media. I love following you guys on Twitter, on IFWTWA. Everyone hashtag IFWTWA is awesome. Just seeing all these destinations, I'm like, holy crap, she just went there. You didn't tell me, but you did on Twitter. So that's really cool. But ladies, thank you so much for joining us, and also having some fun conversations about George Clooney and Chris Christopherson, and hey, why not? All of them. It's been really, really fun. Again, everyone, the website is IFWTWA.org. This is a place you can go. You could be a winery, a destination, a hotel, a travel writer, blogger, a photographer, really a good place to connect with everybody. So I want to go around the room and everyone give your website out. So Betsy, is it BetsyWorld.com?
BetsyWorld.com.
Okay. Sharon-K-Kurtz.com.
Yes.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
So that's a K, and that's a Kurtz with this Kurtz.
Yes.
Linda, all in goodtaste.info. Marie, you've got a long one. I know there's storytelling and photos and travel in there.
Travel notes and storytelling.
There it is. Travel notes and storytelling.com. Thank you all for joining us. Everyone,
Yes,
keep up with
ladies.
us at bigblendradio.com. Thank you.